Hi, I am Ravina Chalmers, and we are going to talk about enterprise system failures. Enterprise systems are difficult to implement because they require a significant amount of resources. Most enterprise system failures are a result of exceeding the time and budget allocated in the initial planning phase. The table notes that on average, 57% of enterprise systems take longer than expected and 54% exceed their budget. The lecture this week includes notable enterprise system failures that include Hershey, Hewlett-Packard, and many more. I am going to briefly describe two other enterprise system failures that will include the United States Air Force and the other, Foxmeyer Pharmaceuticals. The United States Air Force embarked on the Expeditionary Combat Support System (ECSS) project in 2004. Its initial scope was to replace the 240 outdated Air Force computer systems with a single integrated system, with the goal of having a single set of financial records. However, 7 years and $1 billion spent, it was left for scrap when the produced system still lacked significant military capability. The Air Force tried to figure out how to restructure the project twice in hopes of finding a path to success. However, after thorough analysis, it was determined there wasn't a feasible and affordable path to success. It would take another $1.1 billion per quarter to continue with the project. It was eventually abandoned as an enterprise system failure. Foxmeyer Pharmaceuticals was a $5 billion company and the nation's fourth largest distributor of pharmaceuticals, with 500,000 daily shipments before an ERP system failure. They began the Delta III ERP project in 1993 and implementation from 1994 through 1995 with the goal of using technology to increase their efficiency. However, there were major implementation risks before the project began. One of the major risks was the customer mandate. It affected the morale of the employees in the warehouse because this current project would threaten their jobs. This distrust grew so large that disgruntled workers damaged inventory and orders were not filled, and mistakes occurred as the new system struggled with the volume of transactions. It is estimated that $34 million worth of inventory was lost. Another major risk was the scope and requirements. The initial testing of the servers was that it would be able to cope with a high volume of transactions, yet the new system could only process 10,000 customers' orders per night compared to their previous system that could process 420,000. Another risk was the execution of the project due to the shortage of skilled and knowledgeable personnel. Foxmeyer did not have the necessary skills in-house and was relying on a consulting firm to implement and integrate the ERP with their automated warehouse system. Although at the height of the project there were 50 consultants at Foxmeyer, many of them were inexperienced and the turnover rate was high. A last risk was the environment. Foxmeyer realized that the project was in trouble and it perceived dependence on their consultants and vendors prevented it from taking control of the project. Since they competed mostly on price, they needed high volume transactions to be profitable. Yet, once the focus of the project dramatically changed, the rising project costs, which eventually exceeded $100 million, lowered their already narrowing margins and erased most of their profitability. Foxmeyer filed bankruptcy in 1996. Some common reasons of enterprise system failures are business requirements and processes are not clearly defined. Many ERP lawsuits involve situations where the client and the system integrator did not clearly define business requirements. Clearly defined business processes are critical to keeping the project on track and to ensure employees clearly understand the big picture of how the organization's operation will run in the future. This lack of business process clarity will typically result in over-customization, lack of understanding from employees, and configuration that is misaligned with the business requirements, all of which lead to implementation chaos and failure. Another common reason is expectations and outcomes are mismanaged. When undertaking a new client, there can be a misunderstanding of the scope or magnitude of the project implementation. ERP vendors and system integrators often underestimate the amount of time, money, and resources required to complete and finish an implementation. Mismanaged expectations lead to underfunded and understaffed projects, which results in cutting corners and scope snowballing and leading into a failure. Last, lack of organizational change is the reason why these enterprise systems fail. Training is one of the several key components of an effective organizational change management program. Employee communications, change discussion guides, organizational design of roles and responsibility, project branding, and benefits realization are just a few of the additional elements of organizational change management that will make or break your ERP implementation. Discussion question. What do you believe is the main reason why enterprise system failures occur, and how would you mitigate this risk if you were a consultant?